Welcome back to the 8th Concession. My name is Natalie. Well, it's springtime here on the 8th Concession. We're in Zone 5B, Southern Ontario, and a lot has been happening here on the property. I've been working really hard to get a lot of the garden beds ready, and I have a couple of exciting things to show you, unexpected surprises that made me feel really good, and then just doing some cleanup. And then on top of that, I took a little road trip recently to the Royal Botanical Gardens. I should say back to the Royal Botanical Gardens. For those of you who've been watching, you know that I bought a membership this year, and so I went back to a different property than the video where I toured inside the greenhouses, where they had a display based on Alice in Wonderland called Alice in Bloomland. This time I went to one of their other properties. There are 4 properties that belong to the Royal Botanical Gardens in Hamilton, and one of them is the Arboretum, which, as the name suggests, it's all about trees. And there were some spring trees in bloom, and it was so beautiful. I can't wait to show you. It made me inspired and uplifted. It was just such a lovely day. And then on the way back, I stopped at Northland Nursery and I picked up a few plants to treat myself because I was so inspired, and I want to get them in the ground today as well. So first I'm going to show you around a bit, show you all the work I've been doing and what spring looks like here on the 8th Concession. Now, you might remember when I did a video about buying some plants to plant over here in this sort of wet area by the pond. One of them that I bought was an eastern redbud. Now, that's a type of woody shrub, but it blooms beautiful pink blossoms in the spring. And so I thought it would look really nice over here. But it did say in the instructions that it did not like wet feet. Well, I took a chance planting it over here by the pond, and when I think I did a video recently, I showed that while the buds had set in the fall, it didn't look like it had started to swell in the spring. And I thought it was because we had such a wet summer and so much snow over the winter that it was too wet for it, and I was very disappointed. But look what I saw. Here it is with a little blue tag so we don't lose it. Let's see if I can zoom in. It is growing. Look, it's actually growing. I am very excited. Now, I don't know whether it will bloom this year. It's still pretty small, but hey, it survived. Oh, and while we're here, the damage that the rabbits did, but luckily willows are pretty hardy, and it has come back beautifully. I was so busy down here the day I planted all the onions. You can have a look at. They look spindly, but they're doing fine. There's my lettuce. Some celery root, but it's over here where I didn't go that has the other exciting thing. Look at this. Asparagus! I had been checking these pots for so long, I missed them shooting up. I actually think this one is almost big enough to eat. This one has a few. This one has a few. This one has some. And that one has some. I'm so excited for homegrown asparagus. Now the trick is they should be in a permanent bed. I'm trying to get them finished this year. They haven't received all the materials I need. But
They are doing great. And look how green the trees have turned. I think the last time I showed them, the cedars were still pretty brown, pretty dormant, but they've all woken up. So these pots have to come out of here shortly. But I'm pretty excited about my asparagus. They're tiny, but I think I just might cut them and have a little meal of my first ever homegrown asparagus.
So here at the front of the house, I've been doing a lot of work too. I took a day or so to clean up this front garden bed. It needed a lot of work. All the leftover leaves and stems from last year. Wanted to clean it all up, take the weeds out so that I could see and enjoy the spring bulbs that were coming up. And when I walked out my front door, I'm not, greeted with this carnage from last year, but the beautiful plants from this year. So I spent some time doing that, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. My rock cress is blooming. I have a tulip here, which I believe is red and white. The daffodils are still smiling, and the mini ones have come out. I really love those. Hosta's growing. The lavender is coming along. And here are the pink daffodils. You can actually see it better with this bunch back here. Aren't they pretty? Such a lovely pinky salmon color. And beside them, some of the mystery tulips, which I figured out in the meantime were actually given to me by my daughter-in-law to plant. So these are some double pink. And when they open, they look almost like peonies. And the one beside it, I think this is like an orange maroon version of the same thing, a double tulip. So pretty. And this is even a few days later when those tulips have finally opened, and the colors just turned out to be so beautiful. And after I did that front garden bed, I turned my attention to this sort of overgrown bed by the pussy willow. You can see the weeds have just taken over, and this tends to be a very mosquito-y section too, so I wanted to do it early. And this is how it turned out. Just so nice to see a bit of dirt around the plants, and it'll give me some room to plant some new plants. There's some hostas coming up there, and there's a lavender here, and a little bit of an iris that I uncovered. So more room for new plants, which is always a good thing. Same with the garden here at the very front of the house. Oh, it just looks so terrible after the winter. Weeds and leftover hosta leaves. Over here on the south side, those are my irises. So here is what it looked like after I cleaned it out, and it just feels so good to see it neat and tidy, and that the plants have room to breathe and bloom. Now, as I mentioned, when I was coming back from the Arboretum, I stopped at Northland Nursery. Let me show you, I didn't buy a whole lot, but let me show you what I did get, and then I want to get to planting them. Here we go, some of the things that I bought. So on the very left here, this is a perennial geranium. It is blue, and to be honest, I forget which variety. I do know it's blue. I do know it doesn't mind the moisture, so this is going to go over by the flagstone path near the pond for some color. Seeing as I lost a couple of plants over there, I thought I'd add him. This is a very unusual bleeding heart. Now, I've had bleeding hearts before, the sort of ordinary one in a previous house, but I liked this because it's fern-leafed. I think it's called candy cane, but it is just so unusual, and it's shade-loving, so it is going to go in the garden near our Inukshuk. So this is the garden I'm talking about. This is the garden with our Inukshuk. So the little stone structure is an inukshuk. It is a quite well-known feature of the Inuit, the indigenous people in northern Canada, who would build them in the tundra where there aren't any trees. They build them huge, though, not small like this, like life-size or bigger. And they would just help mark places or mark the way in a landscape that was nothing but flat and snow. So this is our inukshuk, and this is a little rock garden below our pussy willow. I think over here is a good spot because under the tree, this is the east side, and that will get the most shade. So I'm going to put that there. This next one is really fun. This, of course, is hens and chickens, and I'm familiar with this plant, but I have the ordinary green colored ones. This is a golden yellow one, and it's called Golden Nugget. And I just thought it was just so unusual and would look really good in that front garden as well, where it can get very hot and very dry, and the hens and chickens do well in that. And next here I have a sedum. And this is going to be a ground cover, but I just thought it was so unique with the pink edges. So the leaves come out this sort of light green with sort of white, and then as the plant matures throughout the season, the leaves will become darker and those edges will become hot pink. I believe it's called Dream Dazzler. I just thought that was so fun. That is also going to go over under the pussy willow by our inukshuk. As a ground cover. And this one is also a ground cover. I just love the little sort of pinkish red flowers. It's called an ice plant, and it's supposed to do well again in sort of hot conditions where the ground isn't really super. So I think that's going in my front garden as well on that south facing side where it gets very hot and dry, but I think that bit of color will look lovely. So I'm going to get these plants in the ground. There, planting done. I just love planting perennials because you plant them once and you get to enjoy them year after year. Now I will be buying some annuals, and I've started some annuals from seed. They'll go in a bit later, closer to the end of May. The May 24th weekend, Victoria Day weekend around here in Canada, is the typical planting weekend, and I think it's always safest to leave my hot weather-loving plants for that weekend, tomatoes, peppers, and some of the annuals. So, but the perennials are in, and I'm really happy with them. It's lovely to see everything coming to life and some color in the yard again. Bye for now.